Hello and welcome. My name is Paul Smith. I'm a solicitor and risk management consultant at Travellers, working with our lawyer insureds to help them deliver a safe legal service. This podcast is one in our series of 10-minute briefings, where we look at some of the risks in legal service delivery that we see in our claim data and suggest some ways of controlling those risks. In this podcast, we'll be looking at the types of advice failure we see, where and how frequently advice failures arise in legal work, what causes advice failure, and how the risks in giving advice can be managed. Risk is about uncertainty, in particular the impact of uncertainty on objectives. A key objective of any legal service provider is the delivery of a safe legal service, where the interests of the client, the firm, those in the firm providing the service are all protected. Failure to manage advice risk jeopardizes this. Here are examples of the advice errors which we see on our claim files, where that objective was compromised and resulted in a notification or a claim. Missing or not dealing with conflict issues or cost liabilities, advising correctly but on the wrong facts, getting the law or procedure wrong, or giving a faulty analysis of a matter's prospects or the quantum of a claim. Along with advice errors, we have three other error groups. Retainer management. This covers errors or events in the delivery of the legal service, missed time limits, failure to deliver what the client was expecting, slips and trips in processes and systems. Also drafting and dishonesty, a mix of fraudulent activity committed by people inside or outside firms and often involving cybercrime. All of the errors covered in these groups arise in the day-to-day delivery of legal service and are together called, in the jargon, operational risks. On our data over the period 2013 to 2019, retainer management errors were responsible for 49% of notifications, drafting 10%, and dishonesty 3%. Advice failure accounted for the rest, 38% of notifications, or more than one case in 3. We can use that overall share of advice notifications to identify advice claims hotspots, work areas where advice-based notifications exceed that overall average of 38%. And there are 3 main areas. First, various forms of litigation: commercial, criminal, employment, landlord and tenant, matrimonial and personal injury. Shares for advice claims overall range from the high 30% in matrimonial work to 51% in employment. The most frequent errors across this group involve advice on law and procedures, with quantum featuring strongly in personal injury-based claims. We also see many advice-based claims in residential property work, in around 47% of cases. Particular issues include advising on incorrect facts, on searches and inquiries, or giving wrong legal advice on contracts or leases. Finally, taxation. We see advice claims in commercial property, corporate, or trust and probate work. Around 53% of taxation claims involve advice issues. A quarter of those involve legal advice failure. Operational risks, like advice risks, have 4 main causes or sources. People, so clients, owners and managers of the business, frontline staff, outsourced suppliers. Product, the way you organize your work and manage the delivery of your service to meet your client's objectives. Process, the firm's infrastructure, which supports people and the delivery of the product. And risk maturity, the extent to which risk management is embedded within an organization. Unless managed, these sources can, alone or in combination, lead to error. And advice claims often stem from 2 of these risk sources in particular. First, people, some risk factors. Clients, those in the firm delivering the service and in outsourced operations, can all be a factor in advice failure. Some of the people issues we've come across in our claims. Lack of people, not enough people to do the work day to day, or insufficient cover for planned or unexpected absences. Capability gaps, a lack of technical or legal expertise or soft skills. Lack of resource in terms of information or reference materials. And expectations of the client. What do they expect from their engagement with the firm? How do they expect the firm to help them? Is that viable? Individuals. What do they see for themselves in their role? What are the business's expectations? Are they ad idem? Or are those expectations excessive? How are expectations managed all round? And intentions. What are the clients? Next, product risk factors. These are failures in organizing and managing the delivery of the retainer to meet your client's objectives. Some of the issues we see on advice failure files: a lack of retainer documentation, Even when there is a retainer, there is sometimes no evidence of it being used to manage the matter. Frequent and/or complex amendments to instructions. Advising correctly but on the wrong facts. Missing key points, especially in complex cases. Assumptions being made. And communication, which is haphazard or ineffective. We also see some evidence of the other two sources or causes of risk in our claims. First, process, some risk factors. Here we're looking at the systems which support the delivery of the product. You can get a sense of what is going wrong from the data, as well as from the files. Failures in delivery, so clear instructions not being followed, missed time limits, inappropriate action, all suggest failings in the supporting system. For example, unchecked work capacity. Is this monitored? If so, how? Unstructured files, which hamper progress or prevent others from taking on a matter effectively if the original fee earner is unavailable. And no records, for example, of instructions received, advice given, and next steps in a matter. Finally, risk maturity, some risk factors. This is the last cause or source of risk. Risk maturity is a measure as to how embedded risk management is within an organization. Low risk maturity, a lack of capability and/or awareness of the need to manage risk, is a risk source. In advice cases, we see evidence of lack of risk awareness, where processes have not been followed or systems are lacking or defective, and a lack of learning, especially where a firm has had similar issues in the past, whether they caused a claim or ended up as a near miss, with no impact. So we've looked at how advice risk presents and what causes it. Now we are going to suggest some controls. On our data, in advice cases, the focus for control is on people and product. In terms of people, this means providing them with support, helping them to give the right advice. That means an open door culture, knowledge exchanges, supervision, individual managed workloads, and the ability to identify expectations on the client's part. In terms of product, getting the production or delivery process right helps you better understand the issues upon which you're being asked to advise. This means getting some structure around the matter and amassing information. So retainer documentation is used to organize the process. Facts are gathered systematically to help form a clear factual matrix. Assumptions about the retainer on the part of client or advisor are identified and addressed. Also, the use of a communications protocol. This can help organize the flow of information and reduce opportunities for misunderstanding. In terms of systems, things like workload overview by the organization, the creation of attendance notes, and the maintaining of orderly files. Finally, risk maturity, the raising of risk awareness, for example, recognizing the risks and the need for controls, and sharing stories about near misses to learn lessons and reinforce good practice. For more risk management guidance, in particular the other podcasts in this series, please go to the address on screen. A final point, our disclaimer. Please take a moment to review this. As a précis, this talk is for guidance only, and there is no liability over the information supplied, which is also not exhaustive. A précis of the précis is that terms and conditions apply. I hope you found this presentation helpful, and thank you for watching.